color. Okay? So, problem ito with regards to our central pallor. Okay? Sa central pallor natin yung problem natin dito. Next, our poikilocytosis. Ito naman yung iba-ibang shapes ng ating mga RBCs depending on the pathophysiology of the RBC disorder. Okay, and then RBC inclusions, from the word itself, inclusion, yung mga nasa loob ng RBC natin, depende kung ano yung sakit or ano yung problem na nagkakos. For example, kung ito ay isang nuclear fragment, gaya ng nabanggit natin last time, kapag hindi completely natanggal yung nucleus kay metamyelocyte, ano yung tawag natin sa inclusion body na yun na may iwan sa loob? Sige, can you try to chat it? I hope you can remember that. Ano yung inclusion body na tawag doon sa naiiwan? HJ or Howell-Jolly bodies. Okay? So we will completely discuss these inclusions within this day. Okay. So let's start with our anisocytosis. Okay, how do we detect anisocytosis? We have 4 ways. Una, we can use the nucleus of a small lymphocytes. Dahil sabi ng ating author, ang mga RBCs natin, mga normal RBCs natin, they are approximately the same size in comparison to the nucleus of our small lymphocytes. Okay, ito naman, next, pinaka-common natin, we use the mean cell volume or MCV value. From which, anong ginagamit nating unit? Femtoliters. And ano ang ating normal value? 80 to 100 femtoliters. Okay? Next, we use our RBC histogram. Itong RBC histogram na to, mas common yun na nakikita to sa mga automated machines natin. Okay? Sa ating automation, mas ma-reinforce natin ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng ating mga RBC histogram. Yung ano ba yung nalalaman sa x-axis, ano yung nalalaman sa y-axis, okay? And then our red cell distribution width or RDW, it is a computed value na binibase niya mula sa RBC histogram. So si machine na rin ang nagko-compute nitong mga to. Okay. So larger than normal, madali lang tandaan, macro. Okay, macrocytes. Ibig sabihin, this is greater than 100 femtoliters. Smaller than normal, microcytes, they are lesser than 80 femtoliters. Okay. So our RBC histogram, what I want you to remember dito, pinaka-basic. Okay. So this is what our RBC histogram looks like. This is our x-axis, of course, and this is our y-axis. And then makakita ka na parang bell shape dyan. Parang sa statistics lang. Actually, sa statistics naman to based. Ito yung Gaussian curve, di ba? This tells us that our data is well distributed. Okay? Kasi ito yung ating mean. Di ba? Ito yung mean natin. Okay. Ano ba yung pinapakita ng ating x-axis? So yung x-axis natin, please remember that this pertains to the cell size. Okay? So dati, paano ko ito tinatandaan? Yung S sa size, pinapalitan ko siya ng X size. Medyo same lang naman ng tunog. Okay? And then yung y-axis, this pertains to the quantity or yung dami ng cells na nabilang. Okay? Kasi ito namang histogram natin, guys. Hindi lang to sa RBCs. Okay? We also have a histogram for our platelets. We also have wait lang. Yung sulat lang yung nakikita nyo. Wala kayong nakikita ang presentation. Can you confirm, guys? Wala kayong nakikita ang presentation? Okay. Nasa presenter window kasi siya. Okay. Wait lang, guys. Buti sinabi nyo. Hindi pa tayo nakakalayo. How about now? Okay na? Ayan, sige.
Okay na.
Thank you. Okay. Ayan. So, sa ating y-axis again, this is our cell quantity. Again, gaya ng binanggit ko kanina, lahat ng type ng cells natin, pwede nating tignan yung histogram. May histogram ang ating heme analyzer for all kinds of our cells. So, dito sa ilalim, dahil cell size siya, yung mga markers dito pwedeng 70 femtoliter, 80, 90. So, dahil ito, pinakabalance siya sa gitna. Siyempre, ito yung 90 femtoliters. Okay? Siya yung nasa gitna. So, dito naman, yung bilang ng cells na nabibilang niya. Okay? So, for example, isang cell pa lang yung dumadaan sa heme analyzer mo, isang tuldok lang yan na ganyan. Tapos yung kapantay niya dito, sa x-axis, yun yung size niya. For example, dito sa part na to, ganito lang kaliit. Ibig sabihin, mga nasa around 50 or 60 femtoliters lang yung ating cell. Okay. So, paano ko naman tinandaan na yung quantity ay nasa y-axis? So, yung y lang dun sa dulo. Quantity. Okay. Bilogan mo na lang yung y sa dulo ng quantity. And then yung size, yung first letter, sounds like x. Size. Okay? Kapag ninext ko ba, ayan, kaka-next ko lang. Nakita nyo na, nasa anisochromia na tayo. Nasa presenter view kasi ako para mas madaling magsulat. Ayan. Lumipat na ba ng anisochromia? Kahit chat nyo lang. Ayan, thank you. Sige. Next, anisochromia natin. So, again, as we have discussed last time, our normal central pallor is 1/3 the diameter of our cell. Okay, so kapag hypochromic siya, yung central pallor niya is greater than 1/3. Okay, baka malito kayo sa greater and lesser. Ibig sabihin lang niyan, kung ito yung RBC mo, nandito na banda yung central pallor mo. Manipis na lang yung gilid na may kulay. Okay? So, ganun yung ibig sabihin. Kaya greater than 1/3 yung central pallor. Okay? Greater pero hypochromic. Okay? Kasi onti na lang yung kulay. Yun lang yung ibig sabihin niya. Okay, other names natin for this is annulocyte, pessary cell, and our ghost cell. Okay? Tandaan na, annulocyte, pessary cell, and ghost cell. Mamaya tanongin, which of the following is the other name for our hypochromic cells? Letter A, annulocyte. Letter B, pessary cell. Letter C, ghost cell. Letter D, all of the above. So the answer is all of the above. Okay? Next, hyperchromic cell. Gaya ng binanggit ko last time, walang ibang sakit na may totoong hyperchromia or increased MCHC other than hereditary spherocytosis. If you ran a CBC and you saw that your MCHC is increased, you must check the heme analyzer. Most of the time, this is a technical problem, okay, rather than a disorder. Ayan. Next. So, hypochromia grading natin, medyo madali siyang tandaan. 1 plus, yung numerator 1. Actually, sunod-sunod lang yan. Parang 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, and then thin rim na of hemoglobin. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So, itong mga to laging nasa numerator. Dadagdagan mo lang ng isang number, yun na yung kanyang denominator. Okay, so this table came from Brown. Okay, next. So, ito naman, meron din tayong grading for our polychromasia. Ayan. So, unfortunately, I don't have mnemonics for this, but so far, this has been rarely asked naman sa board exam. But still, at least, you can be able to familiarize na as early as now na meron din tayong ganitong grading for our polychromasia. Okay? So, for our poikilocytes naman, sa ating mga abnormal cell shapes, ito muna yung gusto kong ma-reinforce sa inyo, matandaan nyo, dahil magagamit nyo to hindi lang sa hematology, but you can also use and remember this um, idea uh, sa maraming subject. So, our spherocytes and our schistocytes are associated with hemolysis, but they are involved in two different kinds of hemolysis. So, sige nga, which of the following sa dalawang to is involved or most commonly associated with intravascular hemolysis? Intravascular hemolysis. Is it spherocyte or is it our schistocyte? Okay? Intravascular hemolysis. Sige, you can type. Okay. So sabi nila schistocyte daw. Tama ba yun? Tama ba yun, guys? Tama. Okay? Our intravascular hemolysis is connected with our schistocyte. Ano ba pag sinabi mong intravascular? Intra sa loob. Vascular sa ating mga blood vessels. So, the hemolysis happens within our blood vessels. Doon sila nasisira. And kapag doon sila nasisira, this is what the RBCs will look like. Nagiging fragmented sila. And we call them schistocytes or schizocytes. On the other hand, dahil intravascular to, this is extravascular. Okay. So when we say extravascular, it does not happen in the blood vessels, but it happens in a specific organ. Basta outside the blood vessel. But what is the most common organ where extravascular hemolysis occurs? Yun nga, trying to recall from what we have discussed last week. In extravascular hemolysis, this most commonly occurs in what organ of the body? Yung ating extravascular hemolysis, kung saan namamatay yung ating mga RBCs. Maaaring sa katandaan, ayan, sige guys, or maaaring dahil sa antibody. So, ganito din yung sinusunod na principle ng ating HDFN, okay? Or yung hemolytic disease of the fetal newborn. So, yeah, it is in the spleen or the largest lymphoid organ in the body. Particularly, it happens in the cords of Billroth in the red pulp of our spleen. So, ayan, tandaan na, extravascular hemolysis, spherocyte. Intravascular hemolysis, schistocyte. Okay, or schistocyte. Natanong na rin to sa board exam. Kahit ganito kasimple, natanong na to sa board exam. Okay, next. Let's begin with our spherocyte. Okay. Small, round, dense RBC with no central pallor. Kita nyo naman dito, oh. Para na siyang bola. Kaya nga siya sphere. Okay? Wala ka na makitang central pallor. So, mataas na ang kanyang MCHC or mean cell hemoglobin concentration. Kaya nga wala na siyang central pallor kasi siksik na siya sa hemoglobin. Okay, ano yung associated conditions natin dito? Hereditary spherocytosis, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, basically anemia, burns, hemolytic disease of the newborn, and during post-transfusion. Okay, so next. Our elliptocyte and avalocyte, they are cigar-shaped or egg-shaped RBC. Cigar-shaped or egg-shaped RBC. Associated conditions natin, hereditary elliptocytosis and ovalocytosis. Okay, so hereditary elliptocytosis, recall lang natin, it is caused by um, a mutation or a problem in the membrane that supports vertical or horizontal membrane interactions. Vertical or horizontal? Yung elliptocytosis natin. Ano yung affected sa kanya, sa ating membrane? Vertical interactions or horizontal interactions? Sige guys. What you can recall? Comment nyo lang or chat nyo lang. Comment ulit. Diba it is it is horizontal. Okay? Yung ating vertical, see? Spherocytosis. Okay? Hereditary spherocytosis. Ovalocytosis, we will be able to discuss that later kung ano yung mutated sa kanya or affected sa kanya. Okay? And then, iron deficiency anemia, makakita ka rin ng mga ganito. Thalassemia major and our myelophthic anemia. Next, this is a recall question. This is the exact picture, naka-black and white lang na ginamit sa board exam. Ito, stomatocyte. Mukha siyang butas ng alkansya, okay? RBC with a slit-like central pallor. Pwede rin siyang tawaging mouth cell. Okay, mouth cell. Associated conditions natin sa kanya, RH deficiency syndrome or RH-NOD kapag wala kang RH antigen. You can also see it during alcoholism, electrolyte imbalance, and our hereditary stomatocytosis, whether overhydrated or dehydrated. Okay, anong other name natin? So overhydrated, di ba? Hereditary hydrocytosis. Ano yung other name natin sa dehydrated? Hereditary xerocytosis. Okay? So we can also see it in our severe liver diseases, itong stomatocyte natin. Okay, next. Sickle cell natin. Okay, sa pangalan na mismo, sickle or crescent-shaped RBCs. Okay, ito yung kauna-unahang picture natin nung may pictures na yung board exam. Okay? So, ito yung unang poikilocyte na naitanong nung may pictures na sa board exam. So, mali nyo, ulitin nila, tanongin nila ulit to, diba? Madali naman siyang tandaan. Sickle shape. Okay? Also known as drepanocyte or meniscocyte. Drepanocyte or meniscocyte. Baka mamaya wala sa choices sa sickle cell, you should look for these two kung nandoon sila. Okay? Associated conditions natin, of course, sickle cell anemia and hemoglobin SC disease. So parang sickle cell lang din siya, nahaluan lang ng hemoglobin C. Okay, so meron tayong specific crystal shape para sa SC natin. We'll be able to tackle that later. Ayan. Sickle cells natin, sickle cell anemia natin, meron siyang two forms. Yung sickle shape natin, or yung nakikita nyo dito, it is the one that is irreversible. Okay? It is the one that is irreversible. So paano ba nangyayari yung pagsisikling ng ating mga RBCs in patients that have sickle cell anemia? So once they are deoxygenated, okay, so pag nabitawan na nila si oxygen, saka sila nag-form ng crystals. Okay, so pag nag-form sila ng crystals, magbabulge siya sa membrane ng RBC natin, kaya ganito yung nag-ihugis ng RBCs natin. But once na ma-reoxygenate ulit yung RBCs natin, if your form is sickle shape, it will not be able to return back to normal. So, ma-deoxygenate siya, ganyan nagiging itsura niya. Pag na-reoxygenate siya, ganyan pa rin ang magiging itsura niya. Okay? But if we're talking about the oat-shaped sickle cell, yung ganito, parang mukha lang din siyang ganyan, parang diamond. Ganyan. Oval na Ayan. Pag ito na reoxygenate, pwede pa siyang bumalik sa normal biconcave shape natin. Okay? So, reversible yung ating oat shape. And less pronounced yung kanyang projections. Pero pag ganito, gaya ng nasa picture natin dito sa kaliwa, you will not be able to return it back to its normal shape. Okay? Okay. Next. HBC crystal. So, our HBC are characterized with a hexagonal crystal of dense hemoglobin. So, ito. Ayan. Ayan. Medyo hexagonal siya na mahaba yung base. Okay, ang pangit ko mag-drawing, sorry. Ayan, medyo ganyan itsura niya. Or pwede niya siya tinatawag na bar of gold. Okay. Bar of gold, hemoglobin CC. Okay. Next. Ito na, si HbSC. Finger-like or quartz-like. Other name, pwede rin Washington Monument. Okay, yung obelisk daw ng Washington Monument. Parang ito. Ayan. Ayan, see? Hemoglobin SC. If both the mutations if both the point mutations in your HbS and HBC occur at the same time. So, ganito yung tsura nila. Okay? Next natin, podocytes. Okay. RBCs that show a centrally stained area. So, ito yon, centrally stained area with a thin outer rim of hemoglobin. So, para siyang target. Kaya nga siya tinatawag na target cell din. Okay? Target cell. Ito masyado siyang maraming other names eh. Leptocyte, platycyte, Greek helmet cell, Mexican hand cell, and bullseye cell. So, podocyte. Paano ko tinatandaan na ito yung target or bullseye? So, if ever, baka may naglalaro sa inyo ng Call of Duty or COD, yun. So, yun yung tinatandaan ko. Iba ang sinasabi, COD tayo. Parang Call of Duty tayo. So, para sa akin, iniisip ko, barilan yun. Tapos, ang naisip ko agad yung bullseye, yung target. Kaya target cell. Podocyte. Okay? Associated conditions natin sa kanya, liver disease, hemoglobinopathies, thalassemia, and our LCAT deficiency. Okay, next. Schistocyte or schizocyte, kaya na nabanggit natin kanina, this is involved in our intravascular hemolysis. Okay, so ano-ano yung mga intravascular hemolysis natin? Ito, si macroangiopathic hemolytic anemia and microangiopathic hemolytic anemia. I want you to remember that if you see this acronym, this pertains to microangiopathic. Okay? Walang MIHA. Yan. MIHA tsaka MAHA. Walang ganon. Walang ganito. Kapag nakita mo tong MAHA, microangiopathic yan. Yung macroangiopathic hemolytic anemia, there is no acronym used for this. Okay? Tandaan nyo ha, pag nakita nyo yung MAHA, microangiopathic hemolytic anemia yun. Okay? It's not macroangiopathic hemolytic anemia. Okay, so our schistocytes is fragmented RBC caused by rupture in the periphery or peripheral circulation like we have discussed earlier. Next, acanthocyte. These are small, dense RBCs with few irregularly spaced. Okay, tandaan nyo to, irregularly spaced projections of different lengths. Meron kasi tayong regularly spaced, tapos same ng length. Okay? So, sige, try nyo. Sino kaya yon? Regular spaced yung projections, tapos pare-parehas sila ng size. Sinong poikilocyte kaya yun? What do you think? Si echinocyte or our Burr cells. Okay, so, dun sila kakaiba. Sila yung opposite ng isa't isa. So, ito si acanthocyte, small, dense, RBC with few irregularly shaped projections, tapos magkakaiba sila ng length. Ano yung mga associated conditions natin dito? Severe liver disease. So, ito meron tayong specific na pangalan for this. It's Purcell anemia. Okay. Ano pang associated condition natin dito? Neuroacanthocytosis. Okay, ano yung mga under nitong neuroacanthocytosis natin dito? First is our abeta-lipoproteinemia. Other name is Basen-Hornswijk syndrome. Okay, so from the word beta-lipoprotein. Okay? So wala ka daw mga beta-lipoprotein sa iyong katawan. So ayun ang nagiging effect why we have acanthocytes. Okay? Kasi nagiging iba yung distribution ng ating cholesterol to our phospholipid. Kasi nga walang beta-lipoprotein. Next is our McLeod syndrome. So, sa blood bank natin, ano yung ano na to? Antigen na to? Pag may McLeod syndrome ka, wala kang AX. Okay? Next. Kinesight. Ayan, nasagot yun na kanina. Blunt, pointed, short projections that are evenly spaced. Okay, so medyo mukha siyang ano, no, mukha siyang tart. Or mukha siyang ano, cupcake pag naka-top view. Okay? Yung watatops, parang ganun itsura niya. So, ayun. Also known as Bursel. Ano associated conditions natin sa kanya? Uremia and our PK deficiency or pyruvate kinase deficiency. So, meron tayong note dito. Kapag daw nag-observe ka ng peripheral blood smear and yung mga echinocytes ay not present in all fields. So, parang sa pinakabungad mo lang sila nakikita. Pag usog mo sa bandang kanan, wala ka nang makitang mga echinocytes, it is more likely to be a drying artifact only. Okay, so you cannot call it echinocyte. You can only call it crenated RBCs. Okay, so paano pa siya pwedeng mangyari? Minsan kasi, sabi ni Rodak, may mga medtech na nagmamadaling patuyuin ang peripheral blood smear. Anong ginagawa? Hinihipan. Okay, blowing. Sobrang uwing-uwi na siguro itong medtech na to. Oh. Hinihipan niya na lang yung peripheral blood smear para matuyo. Pag ginagamit mo daw ang iyong breath to dry your peripheral blood smear, you can induce the formation of our crenated RBCs such as these. Okay? So, dapat air dry lang. Okay? Huwag madaling-madali. Next, the cryocytes natin. Ito, pwede din siyang tawagin na teardrop cell. Teardrop cell. Okay? RBC with a single pointed extension resembling a teardrop or pear. So, ano yung associated natin dito? Primary myelofibrosis, myelodysplastic anemia, thalassemia, and megaloblastic anemia. But most commonly, itong nasa unang dalawa. Okay? Dito mas common nakikita yung the cryocyte natin or our teardrop cells. Yung primary myelofibrosis, madidiscuss natin yan sa ano natin, sa ano na, sa WBCs na natin. Okay, so dito na tayo sa ating mga RBC inclusions. So we have a different contents for each specific inclusion body. If you have basophilic stippling, if you have precipitated RNA, I mean, you call that basophilic stippling. Pag meron kang RNA but not precipitated, you call that diffuse basophilia. Okay, so yung stippling kasi parang tuldok-tuldok pa eh. Yung diffuse malalakip. Okay? Dahil hindi pa naman siya precipitated. Next is our nuclear fragment or DNA. Hawal jolly bodies yan. Denatured hemoglobin, Heinz body. Okay? So, paano ko ulit tinatandaan na hemoglobin si Heinz? Diba? Ano bang kulay ng ating hemoglobin? Basically, parang common, pwede mong sabihin red. Diba? Pero yung Heinz, tatakba ng ano yan? Ketchup, diba? Ano bang kulay ng ketchup? Red. Okay? So, next, iron, Pappenheimer body, mitotic spindle remnant, Cabot ray, and precipitated beta-globin chains. So, ito yan. Tetrads ng beta-globin chain. Sa HBH disease to nakikita. So, ang tawag yun. Kaya siya hemoglobin H. Ayan siya. Tetrads of our beta-globin chain that can be found in our alpha thalassemia. So, alam ko may pictures tayo dito eh. Ayan. Ito si ating basophilic stippling. Ayan. Ito si Heinz body and ayan. Si Heinz body, gaya ng nabanggit natin last time, kapag napiting siya sa spleen natin, kakagatin ng macrophage yung mga Heinz bodies na yan. Okay, ito pala yung way para ma-differentiate natin si Howell Jolly bodies tsaka si Heinz bodies. Si Heinz bodies para na siyang singsing. Ayan, nandito na siya sa kilid na, lumalabas na siya. Okay, lagpas na siya sa RBC membrane. Unlike Howell Jolly bodies na nandun sa loob. Okay, kaya pinakagat siya ng macrophage at nagiging ganito itsura niya. Okay, kaya siya nagiging bite cell. Okay. Ayan, kita nyo dito si Howell Jolly body. Ayan, nasa loob pa siya. Unlike our Heinz bodies na nandito siya. Ayan. Ano yung Howell Jolly bodies natin? Nuclear fragment or our DNA. Okay, Pappenheimer bodies natin. Ayan, mga iron. Ayan, dito. Loob lang din siya. And most of the time, ang talagang ginagamit natin na stain for iron sa ating mga cells is our, sige, ngayon pa lang, sabihin ko na, Prussian blue. Okay? Ito yung pinaka-specific sa iron na stain. Okay, our Prussian blue. In fact, staining of Prussian blue is still the gold standard. Okay, tandaan na, Prussian blue staining is the gold standard for the diagnosis of our IDA or iron deficiency anemia. Okay, and gold standard test is our Prussian blue staining. Next, Cabotring. Ayan, mitotic spindle remnant. Yung itsura niya. And our hemoglobin H. Hemoglobin H natin, sabi nila, soccer ball. Soccer ball appearance. Ganyan nila ini-describe si hemoglobin H or our tetrad of beta globin. Okay, next. Okay, so moving on to our RBC disorders, we must first discuss yung anemia. Okay, ano ba ibig sabihin ng anemia? Okay, our anemia is a decrease in the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, basically yung hindi kaya ng dugo mo mag-carry ng oxygen towards your tissues. Okay? Next, operational definition ng ating anemia. It is the reduction in the hemoglobin content of blood that can be caused by a decrease in RBC count, hemoglobin, and hematocrit. Dahil ito naman yung ating pinaka-common na tinitest natin sa ating hematology section. Ito yung pinaka-unang nakikita natin sa hemanalyzer whenever we feed blood into it. Okay? Anemia, please remember, anemia is not a disease. Okay? But it is a symptom of an underlying disorder. So our anemia, we can only use it as a clue kung ano ba talaga yung nangyayari sa loob ng katawan ni patient. Okay? Ano ba talaga yung sakit niya? Bakit nagmamanifest sa kanya yung ganitong klase ng anemia? Because we have different kinds of anemia. Okay? We have three mechanisms of anemia. Number one, it's either ineffective or insufficient erythropoiesis. When we say ineffective, wala kang problema sa dami ng pinoproduce ng katawan mo na RBCs. Pero, pangit yung quality nila. Okay? Tama nga yung bilang nila, hindi naman sila makapag-function ng maayos. That is our ineffective erythropoiesis. Insufficient, from the word itself, kulang. Insufficient. Kulang kasi napoproduce na mga RBCs. Okay? Next is our blood loss or hemorrhage. Most of the time, this involves a wound. Okay? Kaya ka nagdudugo. Wound, laceration, kaya aksidente, ganyan. Our hemolysis is blood loss or rupture of RBCs without hemorrhage. Okay? Na hindi kayang i-explain ng blood loss. Wala ka namang sugat, wala ka namang pinaglalabasan ng dugo mo, pero within your body, within your blood vessels, within your organs, nagsisimatayan yung mga RBC mo. So that's hemolysis. That's the difference between hemolysis and our blood loss. Okay? Ayan. Ineffective. Production of erythroid precursor cells that are defective. Mga classic examples natin for these, megaloblastic anemia, thalassemia, and sideroblastic anemia. Okay, megaloblastic anemia, problema natin sa mismong DNA. Okay, siya makapag-produce ng maayos. Next is our thalassemia. Problema naman ito ay sa globin chain. Sideroblastic anemia, problema naman niya sa porphyrin or sa heme. And again, insufficient erythropoiesis, decrease in the number. Yeah. Examples niya, classic examples niya, iron deficiency, erythropoietin deficiency, and aplastic anemia. Erythropoietin, malamang sa malamang, belong to sa insufficient. Kasi nga, ito yung mismong hormone natin. Diba? Na nagsasabi sa ating bone marrow na mag-produce pa ng mga RBCs, diba? EPO is our erythropoietin. That is released from from what kidney? From what organ? Sa kidney. Diba? Sa fibroblast ng ating kidney. Ayan. Blood loss hemorrhage involves a wound or damage to the vasculature that causes the decrease in blood volume. Basically, tumatakas yung dugo mo out of the vasculature kasi meron kang laceration or wound. Hemolysis, ayan, shortened RBC survival that is not well explained by bleeding. Okay. How do we classify our anemia? We have two types. Pero yung mas common natin dito is yung morphologic classification. Mas madalas natin itong ginagamit kasi ito naman yung lumalabas sa ating mga machines. And ito yung pinakamadalas na nire-request ng ating mga physicians, ng ating mga doctors, yung mga MCV, MCHC, hematocrit, and such. Yung pathophysiologic classification, para lang maintindihan natin kung ano yung ginagawa sa katawan ng specific kind of anemia na yun. Okay? So when you enter med school, it will be heavily based on pathophysiology, yung mga inaaral. Ayan. Unang classification natin based on morphology. Number 1, normocytic normochromic anemia or normo-normo. Kapag normocytic, it means normal yung size, pasok within 80 to 100 femtoliters. Okay? And then sa normochromia, normal MCHC or 26 to 30 grams per deciliter. Ano yung mga conditions natin dito na associated? Marami kasi to guys. So ang ginawa ni Roda, dinivide niya according to sino yung decreased yung reticulocyte count sa sino yung normal yung reticulocyte count. Ano ba yung reticulocyte count guys? Yung reticulocyte count natin, this is used to determine whether a patient is undergoing hemolysis. Bakit? Kasi yung reticulocyte count natin, it is our body's response to hemolysis or in other words, yung ating red cell generation. Gaya ng nabanggit natin last time, na-discuss natin last time, yung mga reticulocytes, before they officially become a mature RBC, it takes 1 to 2 days in the bone marrow and then lilipat siya sa peripheral blood. And how long does it take for that reticulocyte to become a mature RBC? Nga, if you remember, kapag nasa peripheral blood na siya, how long does it take? Okay? para maging mature RBC na siya. Okay, 1 day. Correct? It will only take 1 day. So, we can use this reticulocyte count to tell ourselves how much RBC can your body produce within 1 day. Okay? Kaya siya ginagamit. Para malaman ng katawan mo kung gaano karaming RBCs ang binubuo ng katawan mo within 1 day. And if you are bleeding normally, this reticulocyte count will increase. Okay? Kapag normal ang reticulocyte count natin, meaning there is no red cell regeneration that is happening, we have 3 diseases that are within our normocytic normochromic, aka aplastic anemia, kidney disease, and acute blood loss. Okay? Mamaisip nyo, blood loss yun. Pero bakit normal yung reticulocyte count? Dahil acute blood loss to, it will take time for our kidney to notice na kulang ka na ng oxygen carrying capacity. Okay? Pero kung chronic blood loss yan, it will be increased reticulocyte count. Dahil acute blood loss pa lang naman yan, hindi agad-agad madedetect yan ng kidney mo. Hindi agad-agad siya mag-release ng erythropoietin for it to tell the bone marrow to produce more RBCs. Okay? Malinaw? Okay, next. Sino naman yung mga may increased reticulocyte count? Okay? So dito, madalas makikita mo yung mga word na hemoglobinuria. Okay? Kasi nga may lysis. Bakit may hemoglobinuria? Nasaan ba yung hemoglobin? Nasa loob ng mga RBCs, di ba? Pag nag-lyse sila, nakakatakas yung RBCs from within the RBCs. Okay? Kaya siya nadedetect. Kaya sinasabi na hemoglobinuria. Okay? Nadedetect yung hemoglobin sa plasma. Okay, ano-ano yung mga to? Pinaka-common dito is yung ito PNH, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, and then next is our paroxysmal cold hemoglobinuria. Pangatlo is our sickle cell disease and our enzyme deficiencies. Okay? Ayan. Let's begin with our aplastic anemia. Our aplastic anemia is a rare type of bone marrow failure syndrome. Ano yung mga key characteristics ng aplastic anemia? I want you to remember this. Pancytopenia. Okay. So kasi pag tayo pong aplastic, or absence, play siya yung pag-produce ng bone marrow mo ng cells. So kahit anong type ng cells yan, whether white blood cell, platelet, RBC, hindi niya magawa ng tama. Kaya, pag sabi mong pan, it means all. Cytopenia, low cell count. So, all cells, all types of cells are decreased when you have aplastic anemia. Because the problem is within the bone marrow itself. Kahit gaano kadaming erythropoietin ang i-release ng kidney mo, wala siyang magawang magandang cell na matino. Okay? Which leads to pancytopenia. And at the same time, ganun din naman, reticulocytopenia. Part na rin siya ng pancytopenia. Okay? Hypocellular bone marrow. Okay? Wala kang makitang cell sa bone marrow kasi hindi nga siya makagawa. Depletion of hematopoietic stem cells. Ayan, kulang siya sa stem cells. Ayan. So you can take a picture of this or screenshot of this. Ito, ginawa ko before sa mga pancytopenia. Okay? So, sige. Next ko na. Ayan. Ang plastic anemia natin can divide it into two, acquired or inherited. Yung acquired natin is the most common with 80 to 85% of the cases, okay, of aplastic anemia. It can be idiopathic or unknown or secondarily acquired. May blanco dyan sa inyo. What is the most frequently implicated drug in acquired aplastic anemia? It is chloramphenicol. Chloramphenicol is the most common cause of drug-related acquired aplastic anemia. Okay? Pwede ring viruses. But then, kung meron tayong acquired, meron din tayong mga inherited aplastic anemia. Sino-sino ba sila? Ayan. Dyskeratosis congenita, SBDS or Shwachman-Diamond syndrome, and our Fanconi anemia. So, isa-isahin natin sila. Dyskeratosis congenita is a member of telomere biology disorders. Ano yung clinical presentation niya? We have a triad of reticular skin pigmentation, dystrophic nails, and oral leukolactia. Ano bang problem dito? Sa telomere biology disorders kasi, itong telomere natin, um, it is what protects our nucleus during mitosis. Okay, so nade-deplete to during mitosis. But when you have a telomere biology disorder, mabilis siyang masira. So hindi ka makapag-cell turnover, hindi ka makapag-mitosis, lalong-lalo na sa mga places na mabilis magpalit ng cells gaya ng kuko, ayan, sa bibig. Kaya nagmumukhang old agad yung kanilang yung mga specific ano na yun, areas na yun, gaya ng skin and our nails. So may kita natin dito, may picture tayo dyan. Ayan. Itong A, ayan yung dystrophic nails. Yung B, yung reticular skin pigmentation. And C, oral leukoplakia. So kung makikita nyo yung kuko niya, hindi na siya makapag-regenerate ng bagong matinong kuko. Kasi may problem siya with the cell regeneration, okay, or mitosis. Kasi may problem siya sa telomere. Next, our Shwachman-Bohdian-Diamond syndrome is caused by a mutation in the SPDS gene. Okay? Nandun na rin mismo yung initials niya, Shwachman-Bohdian-Diamond syndrome, SBDS. Okay? Gusto ko lang tandaan nyo dito itong pancreatic insufficiency. Okay? Pancreatic insufficiency, siya yan. Okay, Shwachman-Bohdian-Diamond syndrome. Next, Fanconi anemia. Fanconi anemia is the most common of the inherited bone marrow failure syndromes. Okay, characterized by skeletal abnormalities, skin pigmentation, or itong specific na name na to, cafe olay, basta parang sinerch ko to eh. Cafe latte yung ano niya, translation niya kasi ganun yung kulay ng mga lesions sa skin. Okay, parang ano, light brown. Then short stature and abnormalities of the eyes, kidneys, and genitals. So ayan, ito yun. Yun yung lesions na itsura sa Fanconi. Pero basically, ang pwede lang din naman itanong dyan, most common inherited. Next, yun naman tayo sa mga may increased reticulocyte count. Paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria or PNH caused by the deficiency of CD55 and CD59. Okay, ano ba CD55? It's DAF or decay accelerating factor. Si CD59 is our MIRL or membrane inhibitor of reactive lysis. Okay, so paano ko tinatandaan? Si CD55 ay si DAF. Tandaan niyo ba yun? Kulang ko naturo ko ba ito last time? 2-5. Okay, DAF. 2-5. Okay? So ano ba? Para saan ba ito si 55 tsaka si 59? Ang purpose nila is for complement regulation. Ano bang end goal ng ating complement? 'Di ba it is to lyse, 'di ba? Para patayin yung RBCs. So si CD55 at si CD59, siya yung pumoprotekta sa ating mga RBCs para hindi siya mapatay ng complement. Kaya kung wala 'tong mga 'to, there will be increased hemolysis. Kaya meron kang hemoglobinuria. Okay? Yun yung kanyang pathophysiology. Ayan. Other name natin for our PNH is our Markefava-Michelli syndrome. Yung mismong yung mechanism of action ni 55 tsaka ni 59, may kita nyo yan. May table yan kay Stevens sa inyong immunoserology book. Pero yung ganun, hindi na yung tinatanong sa iba. Okay? Paroxysmal cold hemoglobinuria or PCH, it is hemolytic anemia that is sensitive or reactive to cold temperature. Pwedeng idiopathic or unknown or secondary. Kapag secondary PCH, common sa mga bata after a viral respiratory infection. Okay? Most commonly seen in young children after a viral infection or viral respiratory infection, PCH. So, ano yung antibody na meron tayo dito? Anti-P autoantibody, which is commonly known as the Donat-Landsteiner antibody. So, bakit nga ba siya cold hemoglobinuria? Okay, biphasic yung ating autoantibody na to ha. Ano yung sabihin nun? Pag nasa cold temperature siya, mag-activate yung complement mo pero half lang. Partial activation of complement from C1 to C4. And then, kapag na-warm ulit yung dugo mo, kapag na-expose ulit siya sa body temp, such as 37 degrees Celsius, ma-activate na ng buo from C3 to C9 yung ating complement. Kapag nasa C9 ka na, dito na nangyayari yung mismong lysis. Si C9 yung mismong sisira sa iyong RBC, di ba? Okay. So, cold muna, half activation, and then pag napunta na sa warm, complete activation. Okay? Doon na tayo sa macrocytic normochromic anemia. Okay? Mapansin nyo dito, sir, bakit hindi macrocytic hyperchromic? Kasi nga, walang totoong hyperchromic except sa hereditary spherocytosis. Kaya, normochromic lang to. Okay? It's only either hypochromic or normochromic. Kapag macrocytic, normochromic yung kasama niya. Okay? High MCV or greater than 100 femtoliters and normal MCHC within 26 to 30 grams per deciliter. So, dalawa ang pinaka-common natin dito. Tatandaan nyo lang dyan, megaloblastic or non-megaloblastic anemia. Basta nandun yung word na mega. Yun na yung keyword nyo na macrocytic. Okay? Megaloblastic anemia natin, characterized by impaired DNA synthesis. Impaired DNA synthesis. Minsan, umaabot daw ng 150 femtoliters yung kanyang MCV, pero ito yung pinaka-common. Just within 100 to 150. Okay, sa causes natin, sa handout, I believe medyo magulo, pero ito yung nakapagilid. Tapos naka-under sa kanya yung inadequate intake, increased need, competition, and lack of intrinsic factor. Okay? Ayusin nyo na lang yung pagkaka-indent. So, causes natin, it's either of the two. Meron tayong vitamin B12 or folate. Ano ba si folate? Vitamin B9. Okay? Kapag vitamin B12, meron tayong iba't ibang pwedeng dahilan. Pwedeng inadequate intake, kung kulang sa vitamins mismo, pag-inom ng vitamins, increased need, kailan nangyayari yun? Pag buntis, ayan, pag naggagatas si mommy, and even in people that are developing or growing. Next is our competition with a specific parasite. Anong parasite to? Ano yung common name ng dilatom or dilatus? Di ba? Ito yung ating, hmm, sige, alalahanin nyo. Dilatom or Diphyllobothrium latom. Ano yung common name natin for this parasite? Broadfish tapeworm. Okay? Broadfish tapeworm. So, ang ginagawa niya, for example, this is the wall of your small intestine. Nandyan siya. Tinatakpan niya yung wall ng intestine mo. Imbis na si intestine ang umabsorb ng vitamin B12, siya ang kakain. So, okay? Kaya, competition siya. Okay? Naagawan ka niya sa small intestine ng absorption ng vitamin B12. Itandaan nyo itong dilatum or Diphyllobothrium latum. This is the old name for your broadfish tapeworm. Itong dilatus, Dibothraeocephalus latus. Okay, makalam po nandito yun sa next slide. Then, kapag naman may lack ka ng intrinsic factor, ito yung intrinsic factor na to, it is the protein that is used by the intestines to absorb vitamin B12. So, if you don't have this, ang specific na tawag natin for that megaloblastic anemia is pernicious anemia. Okay? Kapag walang intrinsic factor, which is a protein needed for the absorption of vitamin B12, it is called pernicious anemia. Okay? Pwede rin namang megaloblastic anemia, but kung nasa choices to, this is the more specific term for this. Okay? Ayan. Old name ng ating broadfish tapeworm, Diphyllobothrium lato. New name is Dibothraeocephalus latus. Fish tapeworm. Bali pala, susundin natin yung ano natin last time, yung schedule natin ng break natin. So, pagdating ng 4 p.m., doon tayo mag 15-minute break. And then when we come back for another 2-hour lecture, saka ulit tayo mag 15-minute break. Then, let's finish with a recap. Okay, so next. Ayan. Kung meron tayong vitamin B12 or cobalamin, meron naman tayong vitamin B9 or folate. Kaya ano yung causes niya? Mas onti lang naman dito, mas common. Kamukha lang din ang kabila. Inadequate intake, increased need, same lang din kapag pregnant, nagagatas, or developing or growing yung bata. Okay? Pwede rin during renal dialysis. Okay. So how do we differentiate between vitamin B12 deficiency and vitamin B9 deficiency? I have included it in this presentation kasi tinanong to ni Har. Okay? In a different manner, sasabihin ko rin naman. So, sabi ni Har, ang isang pasyente daw na may megaloblastic anemia ay binigyan mo ng folate. Initially, meron siyang pinakita na hematologic symptoms or pinakita sa peripheral blood smear niya na meron siyang mga megaloblasts. And then meron din siyang neurologic symptoms. Ngayon, yung patient na to, binigyan ng doktor ng folate. After daw bigyan ng folate, nawala yung hematologic abnormalities, naging normal yung mga RBCs, pero meron pa rin neurologic abnormalities. So, ano daw yung cause ng megaloblastic anemia ni patient? Vitamin B12 deficiency or vitamin B9? Okay? So, na-fix daw yung hematologic abnormalities nung binigyan ng vitamin B9. Pero yung neurologic abnormalities, hindi nawala. So ano sa tingin nyo yung cause ng megaloblastic anemia ni patient? Is it vitamin B12 deficiency or vitamin B9 deficiency? Sige, you can base from this slide yung answer nyo. Nandito na rin mismo yung sagot. Sige, you try. Vitamin B12, of course. Kasi nga, sabi dito only vitamin B12 deficiency is associated with neurologic abnormalities. Okay? So, kahit ilang vitamin B9 ang ibigay mo sa kanya, hindi yan maa-alleviate or hindi yan maaayos. Pero, yung hematologic abnormalities, dahil parehas silang present in vitamin B12 deficiency and vitamin B9 deficiency, this will be solved. Okay, so that's how you differentiate between vitamin B12 deficiency and vitamin B9 deficiency. Only vitamin B12 is connected with or associated with neurologic symptoms. Okay, we're good with that. Okay. Next, meron tayo namang non-megaloblastic anemia. Non-megaloblastic anemia natin characterized by large RBCs and are typically related to membrane changes. So wala siyang kinalaman sa DNA. Okay? So this is only a disruption of the cholesterol to phospholipid ratio. So yung MCV niya falls between 100 to 115 only most of the time. Okay? It rarely reaches beyond 115 femtoliters. Common causes natin, liver disease, chronic liver disease, alcohol abuse, and our bone marrow failure. Now, since we have discussed both megaloblastic and non-megaloblastic anemia, how do we differentiate the two of them? Okay? So, ganito. Kapag megaloblastic anemia, you will observe in your neutrophils that it is hypersegmented. Okay? Ano ba yung normal segmentation ng ating neutrophils? 2 to 5 lang. So, kung nakita mo na ganito, and ilang segmentation yan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hypersegmented neutrophil na yan. Okay? And that is a sign of megaloblastic anemia. Number 2, when there are present oval macrocytes. Okay? Next, megaloblasts in the bone marrow. So these are the key characteristics of megaloblastic anemia that you can use to differentiate it with non-megaloblastic anemia. Kasi ano pong meron kay non-megaloblastic anemia? Normal ang segmentation within 2 to 5 lang. Ang macrocytes niya, round. And no megaloblasts can be seen in the bone marrow. Okay? So, it's not quite the opposite. Normal lang sa non-megaloblastic yung no megaloblast tsaka normal segmentation. Yung may specific lang dito is yung round macrocyte. Okay? So, megaloblastic anemia, hypersegmentation, oval, and of course, megaloblasts. Okay? Next. Let's move on to our microcytic hypochromic anemia. Dahil microcytic siya, less than 80 femtoliters yung kanyang MCV. Dahil low MCHC siya, hypochromic, less than 26 grams per deciliter. And meron tayong mnemonic for that. For the associated conditions in our microcytic hypochromic anemia, it is our CTALs. Chronic blood loss, thalassemia, anemia of chronic inflammation, iron deficiency anemia, lead poisoning, and our sideroblastic anemia. But for this classification, ang i-discuss natin under this is yung itong dalawang to. Si anemia of chronic inflammation siya kasi iron deficiency anemia. Si thalassemia, lead poisoning, tsaka sideroblastic anemia, they will be discussed under the hemoglobin disorders. Okay? Later. Baka lang kasi magtaka kayo, bakit hindi po na-discuss yung iba? Later, pagka pinagsama ko siya sa mga hemoglobin disorders under the heme. Okay? So first, anemia of chronic inflammation. This is the most common anemia among hospitalized patients. Ano naman pag tinanong, what is the most common anemia? Ano sagot? Yun nga. If this is the most common anemia among hospitalized patients, this is the most common anemia, IDA, okay, or iron deficiency anemia. So nasa pangalan na mismo, chronic inflammation, this is associated with our chronic infections. So ano yung central feature ng ating ECI? Sideropenia in the face of abundant iron stores. So pag sinabi mong sideropenia, low serum iron. In the face of abundant iron stores, when you say abundant iron storage, ano ba yung stored iron natin? Increased ferritin. So, mababa daw serum iron, pero increase ang ferritin. Kay iron deficiency anemia ba, increased o decreased si ferritin? Kay iron deficiency anemia, increased or decreased si ferritin? You try to answer. Okay, decreased. In what specific stage? Stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3? Sige nga, guys. Ferritin is decreased in all stages of iron deficiency anemia. Mapa stage 1, mapa stage 2, tsaka stage 3. Lahat sila decreased si ferritin. Okay, it's just that in stage 2, dumadagdag si sino? Si transferrin sa decreased. Stage 3, sino yung pinakahuling dumadagdag? Si hemoglobin. Si ferritin, regardless of the stage, simula pa lang sa stage 1 hanggang dulo, decrease na siya. Okay? Baka tanongin nyo na, for example, in which of the following stages is ferritin decreased? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, all of the above. So the answer is all of the above. Okay? Next, APRs that play a role in ACI. Ano sabihin ng APR? Acute phase reactants. Okay, ito yung mga tumataas during what? During infection. Bakit? Kasi, gaya ng binanggit ko, yung iron natin, isa siya sa mga essentials sa mga microorganisms natin such as bacteria. When you get infected, may kipag-agawan yan sa'yo sa iron. Okay? So, ang ginagawa ng katawan mo, it will either directly compete with the microorganisms for iron, or it will indirectly hoard your iron para hindi makuha ng mga microorganisms. Sino yung indirect? Si hepcidin. Ano bang ginagawa ni hepcidin? Gaya ng nabanggit ko last time, si hepcidin, sinasara niya yung pintuan na dinadaanan ng iron from the enterocytes to the blood vessels, okay? Or to the serum, or sa mismong dugo natin, okay? Para hindi siya makuha ng mga bacteria. Okay? So, hinahayaan niya lang na dun lang siya sa storage site. Okay? Kung saan man yun, pwedeng macrophage, pwedeng enterocyte, pwedeng hepatocyte. Okay? Lactoferrin, direct competition against microorganisms. Nandun siya sa mismong blood na nakikipag-agawan sa mga bacteria para sa iron. Okay? So, ito yun yung mga acute phase reactants natin, including ferritin. Okay. Doon naman tayo sa ating most common anemia, iron deficiency anemia. Common causes natin, blood loss, nutritional deficiency, increased demand, ganun din, pregnancy, lactation, and adolescence, GI tract malignancy. So kung kanina sa ating megaloblastic anemia, Ang parasite na associated with it is our broadfish tapeworm. Dito naman sa ating iron deficiency anemia, hookworms naman ang pwedeng mag-cause nito sa ating mga parasites. Okay? Hookworm infection is the one that's associated with our iron deficiency anemia. Okay. So, stages of IDA, nabanggit ko kanina, stage 1 pa lang, mababa na si ferritin. Kaya siya tinatawag na storage iron depletion. Kasi si ferritin is also known as stored iron. Stage 2, transport iron depletion. Sino si transport iron? Si serum iron. Okay? Increased TIBC. Ano ba si TIBC? Ito yung capacity ng alin? Transferrin. Kung ilan pa yung bakante ni transferrin para sa iron. Okay? So, kung wala kang iron sa iyong dugo, malamang sa malamang, mataas ang capacity niya. Or it means kaya pa niyang kumuha ng iron. Kaya increased siya. Okay? Imbis na decreased. It just says na there's a lot of free space for transferrin to bind more iron. Okay? Stage 3 or functional iron depletion, ito na yung nakikita natin sa ating mga heme analyzers. Ito kasing dalawang to, stage 1 and stage 2, these are latent iron deficiency. Okay? Ito yung symptomatic. Ito na yung nakikita. Ito na yung madaling ma-diagnose. Okay? So all, including hemoglobin, is decreased. Except the IBC kasi nga, increase nga yan. Kasi mataas yung kanyang free space. So ito, galing to sa RODAC. Ayan. So that's how you can differentiate stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Kung nakita nyo dito, stage 1, normal pa lahat. Except kay ferritin. Which is decrease naman na hanggang dulo. Kasi nagsisimula naman sa storage depletion. Okay? Pagdating ng stage 2, transport iron depletion, mababa na si serum iron, mataas na si TIBC. Ayan. Pero normal pa rin si hemoglobin. Pagdating ng stage 3, ayan na, mababa na pati si hemoglobin. So, paano ko tinatandaan to before? Na stage 1 is storage, stage 2 is transport, stage 3 is functional. So, di ba ang iron natin is Fe? Okay, so parang Fe. Hindi naman sa ina-associate ko yung pangalan ng Fe sa chismosa. Pero yun na lang yung in-imagine ko. Shut the F up, Aling Fe. Kasi nga chismosa siya. Ayan, tinatandaan ko before. So, stage 1 is storage iron depletion. Stage 2 is transport iron depletion. Stage 3 is functional iron depletion. So, yung Fe, the iron. Okay? STF up, Aling Fe. Okay, next. Ayan. So, ito, you can take a screenshot of this. Ginawa ko rin to before taking the boards. Pwede nyo ipaskil sa pader para sa inyong mga exams, final exam and such. Okay? So, madalas naman ito yung tinatanong. Yung iron deficiency versus anemia of chronic inflammation. Yan lang yung madalas tanongin. Okay? So, yan. Move on to tayo sa ating mga hemoglobin-related disorders. We can divide it into, syempre, heme and globin. Pag-heme can either be porphyria, sideroblastic anemia, or lead poisoning, which can be characterized as both acquired porphyria or acquired sideroblastic anemia, and that will be explained later. Next is our globin disorders kapag qualitative problem or from the word quality, again, hemoglobinopathies yung tawag natin doon. But if the problem is the number of your globin of the globin chains that is produced, and thalassemia ang tawag natin doon. Okay? Okay. So, sino ba to? Si Edward Cullen. Bakit ba nandyan siya? Di ba isa siyang vampire? So, before, ng mga sinaunang panahon, akala ng mga tao na ang mga taong may porphyria ay mga vampires. Bakit? Ano ba yung characteristic na same with vampires sa taong may mga porphyria? They are what? Ayaw nila sa? Saan? What do you think? Ayaw nila sa ilaw. Okay? Yung mga balat ng mga taong may porphyria, they are photosensitive. Kasi yung mga porphyrins na naiipon, na nag-accumulate kasi nga kulang ng mga enzymes in the heme synthesis pathway na pupunta sa skin. And porphyria, they specifically absorb UV light. So kung nasa balat yun, dikit na dikit sa balat at lalabas yung mga tao may porphyria, mas madali silang masunog, okay, ng sunlight. Kaya sila photosensitive at kaya nakala ng mga tao na sila ay mga vampira noong sinaunang panahon. Okay? So in our porphyria, these are diseases in which enzymes within the heme synthesis pathway are missing or are impaired. Okay, so marami to, di ba? ALA synthase, ferrochelatase, ayun yung mga yun. So kung kulang ng enzyme yung specific na step, yung i-convert sana niya, example ito enzyme. So kung i-convert niya to, papunta dito, pag wala ka ng enzyme na yun, ito yung may ipon. Okay? And sila yung nagiging porphyrins. Okay. So ayan, pwede rin picture ulit to. So ayan yung mga enzymes na specific for the steps glycine plus succinyl CoA into uh, delta aminolevulinic acid, si D-ala synthase ang ginagamit. Kapag wala ka ng gantong enzyme, ito yung sakit mo. XLEPP or X-linked erythropoietic protoporphyria. Ganun lang din yung trend niya. Yan, ito, dito. Katapat yan. Ano yung sakit? And kanya-kanya na kayong diskarte kung paano nyo kakabisaduhin, paano nyo aaralin yung mga yan. Okay? But so far, in the board exam, I don't remember if this has already been, yung ask, yung mismong enzymes and diseases. Okay? But still, hindi naman na ganun talaga kauso ang recalls. Laging may bago sa board exam. At least, ngayon pa lang ay exposed na kayo sa mga to. Okay? Hemoglobin disorders, ayan, sino-sino pa ang part ng ating heme disorder? Sideroblastic anemia. This is a problem related with iron metabolism or yung mismong paglagay ng iron or ferrous iron sa protoporphyrin ring. Okay? So kung kanina may problem sa mga enzymes sa pagbuo ng iyong heme, ito naman yung paglagay lang ng iron doon sa protoporphyrin line. Okay? So itong step na to, yung protoporphyrin 9 into becoming heme. Dito nagkakaroon ng problema. And kapag may problem dyan, yung iron mo, hindi siya malagay sa protoporphyrin ring, maiipon to, itong iron na to, sa loob ng cells. Okay? So kapag, for example, ito yung cell mo, andyan lang yung mga iron, nakakalat lang sila diyan, ang dami-dami na nila diyan dahil wala silang mapagkabitang protoporphyrin, yung problem with ano, with incorporation into protoporphyrin, anong tawag natin sa inclusion bodies na makikita mo? Puro iron 'to, Ano yung ano natin, inclusion body for our iron? Letter P? Our Pappenheimer bodies. Okay? So yun yung makikita natin sa mga patients with sideroblastic anemia. Okay? Dahil wala silang mapagkabitang protoporphyrin 9 ring, naipon sila sa loob ng RBC. And they will be seen as Pappenheimer bodies. Okay? Okay, iron overload can be either acquired or hereditary. Kapag acquired, of course, kapag multiple blood transfusions, common sense na yan. Pag marami ka natatanggap na dugo, edi marami din ang magiging iron mo in your blood. Okay? Next is our hemochromatosis or hereditary hemochromatosis. Ang problem natin dito? There's a mutation in our HFE gene. Si HFE protein kasi natin, it is what helps us or helps the body sense kung enough na ba yung iron mo sa katawan. Kapag na-sense niya na tama naman yung iron natin, okay naman, magre-release siya ipagre-release niya yung katawan natin ng hepcidin para magsara ulit yung pinto ng mga enterocytes natin for iron. Na para sinasabi niya sa katawan na okay na, huwag ka na mag-absorb ng iron. Enough na yung iron namin. Okay? So, ganun yung ginagawa ng ating HFE. And if this HFE is mutated, walang magsasabi sa katawan mo na parang tama na, huwag ka na mag-absorb ng iron. Lalong papasok at papasok pa rin ang iron sa katawan natin. A-absorb pa rin at a-absorb ng katawan natin ng iron. That's why in the end, it becomes overloaded. Kapag nag-overload na yan, sa tissues sila napupunta. And it is a manifestation common in hemochromatosis. Okay? Next, let's move on to our globin disorders. Okay. So una tayo sa may qualitative defect. Qualitative defect, tawag natin sa kanya is hemoglobinopathies. It is caused by difference in the arrangement of amino acids in the globin polypeptide chain. Gaya ng nabanggit natin, na-discuss natin last week, yung ating globin chains, it is composed of approximately nasa 140 plus na amino acids. Diba? Okay. So, may maibang isa dyan or napalitan, hemoglobinopathies ang magiging problem natin. Okay? Sa hemoglobinopathies natin, the major ones happen in the beta globin chain. Okay, I have tried to search last night kung meron na bang same manner sa alpha, pero somehow wala akong makita. Okay, most talaga na hemoglobinopathies na same manner of mutation or same mechanism of mutation nandito sa beta globin chain. Okay? And it can be homozygous or heterozygous. So we have three. Actually, sobrang dami nito. Sobrang dami nating hemoglobinopathies, but this is the three most common. Okay? Itong SC tsaka E. If I'm not mistaken, D tsaka G yung sunod. Fourth and fifth most common. Okay? So, hemoglobin S, sickle cell disease. Ano ba yung sabihin nito? Okay. So, pag nakita nyo yan, tignan nyo na lang yung, yung other half. Yung alpha, tuwag mo nang pansinin. So, let's say that this is your globin chain. Beta globin chain, I mean. Tapos nandito si amino acid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Normally, dito sa 6th position na to, ang nakapwesto dyan ay si glutamine. Okay? Okay. Ang nangyari daw, sa 6th position, kung saan nandoon si glutamine, naging valine. Ito, 6th position. First position. Okay? So, kapag ganyan daw ang nangyari, ang sakit mo ay ito, hemoglobin S or sickle cell disease. Okay? So, ganun yung ano niya, ganun yung mechanism niya para maintindihan nyo. Ano ba yung sabihin ng mga to? Alpha 2, beta 2, 6, guval, ganun. Kung saan nakatapat yung arrow, yun yung pumalit. Okay? So, kay hemoglobin C, ang pumalit kay glutamine ay C, lysine. Ganun din naman kay hemoglobin E, pero 26th amino acid. Okay? Ganun lang siya. Hemoglobin S natin, most common and most severe hemoglobinopathy. Okay? Malamang magiging most severe talaga yan kasi ganito yung shape ng mga RBCs niya. Magiging sickle. Imagine nyo, makakasiksik ba yan sa mga capillaries? Diba? Hindi. This is characterized by formation of tactoids or crystal sickle-shaped appearance when deoxygenated. Okay, so once deoxygenated, saka siya nagiging ganyan. And again, kapag oat shape yung hemoglobin S mo, when you reoxygenated, it will come back to normal. Okay, pero pag gantong sickle, it will not come back to normal. Okay, hemoglobin C, ayan, na-discuss na natin kanina to. It causes mild hemolytic anemia only. Pinakatatandaan dito, hexagonal appearance. Pero kapag may halo ng hemoglobin S, hemoglobin C, it is either Washington Monument-like or finger-like. Okay? Kapag C lang, hexagon or bar of gold. Okay? Next. Ayan. So ito. Ito yung C. Ito yung ating SC. Yung parang finger-like. Ayan. Dito para siyang paa ng manok. Ayan. Okay. Doon naman tayo sa ating quantitative problem or the decrease or total absence of the synthesis of one or more globin chains. Thalassemia ang tawag natin doon. Na-discuss natin last week ng bahagya. Ulitin natin ngayon. Yung alpha globin genes natin, genotype, we have 4 copies ng alpha and we only have 2 copies ng beta. Kaya pag tinatanong kayo ng genotype ng alpha globin, 4 yan, alpha-alpha slash alpha-alpha. Pag beta globin, beta slash beta lang. Kaya nga, mas malala ang thalassemia sa beta. Bakit? Kasi mawala tong isa, kalahati na lang meron ka. Okay? Kay alpha, mawala tong isa, may 75% ka pang natitirang alpha genes na pwedeng gumawa ng alpha globin chain. Gets? Okay? Kaya, mawala lang tong isa na to, beta thalassemia major agad ang sakit mo. Okay? Kay alpha thalassemia, magiging major lang yan kapag 2 or 3 ang nawawala. Okay? Kapag 4 na yung nawawala dyan, wala na. Hindi na kayang, stillborn na yan. Okay? Sa tiyan pa lang ng nanay, patay na yung bata. Okay? Ganun siya kalala. Ganun yung mga ka-survive yan. Okay. Thalassemia natin, also known as hereditary leptocytosis, okay, or Mediterranean anemia. Common clinical findings natin, pallor, jaundice, splenomegaly, and skeletal deformities. Okay, let's begin with our alpha thalassemia. This is caused by the deletion of 1, 2, 3, or all 4 alpha globin chains. Okay, marami kang reserved na genes sa alpha. Okay, ano yung mga forms natin? Silent carrier. Ito, talagang hindi mo pa siya agad-agad makikita, asymptomatic to. Kasi, isa man yung nawala, meron pang tatlong natitira to compensate for the one gene na nawawala. Okay? Next, alpha thalassemia trait, dalawa lang ang deletion. Okay? Ito na. Itong dalawang to, yung pinakamalalang type ng alpha thalassemia. Kapag tatlo daw ang missing, tawag natin dyan ay HBH disease. Bakit? Kasi kapag ganito ang genotype mo ng alpha, sa dugo ng bata, bumubuo yung mga beta globin chains na sa isa't isa. Nagdidikit-dikit sila sa isa't isa. Nagiging tetrads of beta globin chain. And itong tetrads of beta globin chain, yun tinatawag nating hemoglobin H. Sa peripheral blood smear, ano yung itsura? Parang golf ball. Okay, parang golf ball. May invaginations. It's kulay blue. Okay? Kaya siya kulay blue kasi yun yung ginamit na stain sa kanya. Okay? Yung vital stain. Yung brilliant crescent blue. Okay? Kapag wala nang natitira na alpha chain or alpha gene para gumawa ng alpha chain, hemoglobin BART na yun or BART's hemoglobin. Okay? Or hydrops fetalis na ang mangyayari. Hydrops fetalis. Wala. Wait ka. Nawala. Ayan, hydrops fetalis. Ayan. Silent carrier state, asymptomatic. Rate natin, mild hypochromic microcytic anemia lang. HBH disease, ayan na hindi na siya mild. And makakita ka na ng hemoglobin H, which is tetrads of beta globin chain. Hemoglobin BART, hydrops fetalis syndrome. Most severe form of alpha thalassemia. And kapag naman hemoglobin BART, tetrads na to ng gamma chain. Tandaan na, tetrads ng beta, hemoglobin H. Tetrads ng gamma, hemoglobin BART. Okay? Kapag tatlo lang yung deletion, hemoglobin H. Kapag apat na yung nawawala, hemoglobin BART, which causes hydrops fetalis. So, ayan, ganyan, nakakaawa. Ganyan yung itsura ng sanggol na may hemoglobin BART. Okay, so talagang pagkalabas niyan, wala na yan, di na buhay talaga yan. Sa loob pa lang di na buhay, nilabas lang para hindi ma-endanger si mommy. Okay? Then nasa kaliwa, ayan yung ating hemoglobin H. Okay? Ginamit na stain dito is BCB or Brilliant Crescent Blue. Okay? Next. Beta thalassemia. Okay? Mutation that affects the beta globin gene complex. Again, dalawa lang yan. Physical manifestations na pinaka-common sa kanila, frontal bossing, okay, prominent ang upper jaw and cheekbone. And then sa radiograph daw ng skull, hair on end appearance. O parang tusok-tusok yung bungo nila. So imagine gano'ng kasakit yun sa ulo ng pasyente. Okay, kapag ganun yung itsura ng bones nila. Okay, parang hair on end. Ayan, ito yung hair on end. Diba? Imagine yung feeling sa anit, diba? Kung ganyan yung bungo mo, tusok yung ibabaw. Ayan. So ito, prominence ng cheekbone and upper jaw, frontal bossing, sobrang lapad ng noo. Ayan. Ayan yung mga common na makikita sa mga tao na may major beta thalassemia. Okay, forms natin, silent carrier state, and asymptomatic and normal. Hindi mo makikita. Yung isang gene niya ay silent, present, and fully working yung isa. Next, beta thalassemia trait. Either isa nawawala or isa affected lang pero not totally deficient. Okay? Pwedeng ano lang, mutated. So mild hypochromic anemia or other may also be known as beta thalassemia minor. Okay? Kapag major na, both affected, one deficient, or both deficient or absent. Okay, tawag natin doon ay Cooley's anemia. Okay, that's the most common, or I mean most severe pala, most severe form of beta thalassemia, and it is dependent na sa transfusion. Okay, meron pa tayong isang type ng beta thalassemia, it is beta thalassemia intermedia, kapag either both are silent genes, yung isa affected at isa silent, or yung isa totally absent at yung isa silent. Okay, so yun yung beta thalassemia intermedia natin. Okay, so doon naman tayo sa mga natitirang diseases natin under the pathophysiologic classification. Doon tayo sa increased destruction. Kasi yung decreased RBC production, sobrang dami nila. Hindi siya um, optimally used to segregate yung cause mo ng anemia. Pero nakalista yan sa handout nyo kung sino yung mga may decreased RBC production. I will not go over it one by one. Kasi, na-discuss naman natin most of them. Yung natitira na lang ito, destruction, okay, or hemolysis. So, kapag sinabi natin RBC destruction or hemolysis, it can be intracorpuscular or extracorpuscular. Kapag sinabi mo intracorpuscular, within the cell yung problem. Okay, kapag extracorpuscular, out of the cell yung problem, out of the RBC. Okay, so it can be either merong defect sa RBC membrane, merong enzyme deficient doon sa RBC mo, pwedeng may problem ka with your globin, or sa, ayan, membrane din tong PNH kasi walang CD55, CD59, diba? Kapag extracorpuscular, pwedeng mechanical stress and damage, or might be due to accident or trauma. Ayan. Infection, extracorpuscular yan kasi syempre nanggagaling sa labas yung bacteria or virus. Chemical and physical agents, and antibody mediated. I just remembered earlier, dagdag nyo na lang, sa aplastic anemia. Sabi doon, viruses can also cause aplastic anemia. There's a specific virus that causes red cell or RBC aplasia. Baka may nakakalam sa inyo. Alam ko, ang isa sa mga symptoms ito is, or signs pala, hindi symptom, is a slap cheek. Sige, tingin nyo. Ano itong virus na to? Aplastic anemia, specifically red cell aplasia. May kita rin to sa mga aso. Ayan, alam nyo na siguro. Common sa mga aso. Parvo. Okay? Parvovirus B9. B19? Ayan. Basta parvovirus. Okay? Causes red cell aplasia. Yun lang, share ko lang. Kasi makalimutan, sayang naman. Okay. So, intracorpuscular pa rin tayo. Enzyme deficiency. So, we have three most common enzyme deficiencies. Yung arrangement nito, from most common to least common, cause of hereditary nonspecific hemolytic anemia. Okay? Pero gaya ng binanggit ko last time, kapag tinanong ano yung most common RBC enzyme deficiency, G6PD yung answer. Pero kapag cause ng hereditary non-spherocytic hemolytic anemia, si pyruvate kinase deficiency yun. Sir, bakit kaya ganun? Sabi mo most common si G6PD, pero hindi siya yung most common cause ng HNSHA. Kasi guys, even though G6PD deficiency is the most common RBC enzyme deficiency, most of the time, it can be asymptomatic. Hindi siya agad-agad nagkukos ng hemolytic anemia. Okay? Unlike pyruvate kinase, na kapag deficient ka dito, immediately it will cause hemolytic anemia. Okay? So, pinaka-common talaga si G6PD na deficient pero hindi siya laging symptomatic. Okay? Kaya second most common lang siya. Isa pa, pag tinanong what is the most common enzyme deficiency in the Embden-Meyerhof pathway, the answer is pyruvate kinase deficiency. Okay? One thing that I want you to remember here also is the characteristic poikilocyte inclusions. Okay? Characteristic poikilocyte ni pyruvate kinase deficiency, echinocyte or BRCA. Okay? Apart from pyruvate kinase deficiency, sino nga ulit yung isa pang sakit? Uremia. Okay? Uremia. Dalawa lang yan. Doon sa table ni Roda. Ano yung mga associated disease kay BRCA or echinocyte, pyruvate kinase deficiency, tsaka uremia. Next, G6PD deficiency. Again, it's the most common RBC enzyme deficiency and it's the second most common cause of HNSHA. Characteristic RBC inclusion niya ay Heinz body. Okay? Bakit? Ano ba si Heinz body? Precipitated hemoglobin. Bakit siya na-precipitate? Kasi na-oxidize siya. Ano ba yung pumaprotekta sa ating mga RBCs against oxidation? Yung hexose monophosphate shunt natin sa pamamagitan ng NADPH. 'Di ba? Paano tayo nakakabuo ng NADPH from NADP? NADP to NADPH. Sa tulong ni Nino, G6PD. Okay? G6PD. Kaya kapag wala to, wala. Hindi ka makakapag-form ng NADPH. And your RBCs will be more prone to damage. And when your RBCs are damaged, specifically your hemoglobin, when it gets oxidized, they become Heinz bodies. Kapag pumunta yung mga cells mo sa spleen, pag nakita yan ng splenic macrophage na may Heinz bodies, kakakagatin niya yan. Kaya meron tayong bite cells. Okay? Our G6PD deficiency, sabi nila, it confers a protection against malaria or Plasmodium falciparum infection. Blanco to sa handout nyo. So, kailangan nyo sagutan yan. Plasmodium falciparum, yun yung sinasabi nila na kapag may G6PD deficiency ka, hindi ka na magkakaroon ng malaria or less yung risk mo na magkaroon ng malaria. Okay. Lastly, our P5NP1 deficiency or pyrimidine 5 nucleotidase 1 deficiency. Para saan ba yung enzyme na to? Okay? Ito yung enzyme na kailangan ng iyong mga reticulocytes para maalis yung natitirang RNA. Di ba nga, na-discuss natin last time na kay reticulocytes, wala mang RNA synthesis na nangyayari, meron pa siyang RNA content. Okay? And para totally mawala yun, para totally maalis yun, P5NP1 is what the reticulocytes need to degrade and eliminate them. Kaya nga, kapag deficient ka sa enzyme na to, anong inclusion ang makikita mo? Basophilic stippling, which is comprised of what? RNA. Okay? So dahil wala yung enzyme na to, lahat ng reticulocytes mo, hanggang sa umabot sila ng mature RBC stage, meron pa rin silang RNA, which manifests as basophilic stippling. Okay? Okay, dito pa rin tayo, intracellular pa rin. Meron din tayo membrane defect. Kung meron tayong enzyme defect, ito naman, or enzyme deficiency, ito naman, membrane defect. Altered membrane structure. Okay, na-discuss natin last week, kapag vertical membrane interactions, hereditary spherocytosis. Kapag horizontal membrane interactions, elliptocytosis. Kapag Southeast Asian ovallocytosis, or minsan tinatawag nila to as ganito lang, SAO or SAO, it is a mutation in the band3 protein. Okay? Itong band3 protein na to, it is carried by what blood group antigen or blood group system? Maybe nakapag-blood bank na kayo or natandaan nyo. Okay. Letter D. Baka may nakakaalam. Sino yung nag-carry ng band3 sa ating mga blood group system, sa mga blood group antigens natin? Letter D, letter I. Ano? Kung sino yung blood group family na ganyan, DI. Medyo na yun medyo pamigay na. Diego. Okay? Nandun si band3. Okay? So pag may problema ka dyan, this is your disorder. SAO or Southeast Asian ovallocytosis. Next, altered membrane transport proteins. Na-discuss na natin to last time. Hereditary hydrocytosis. Okay, para madaling tandaan, hydro, overhydrated, somatocytosis. Zero, dehydrated kasi zero water. Okay, ano ba nangyayari dito sa hereditary hydrocytosis? Bakit siya overhydrated? Okay? Sobra yung pagpasok ng sodium. Yan ang sabi natin. Where sodium goes, water follows. So, ang nangyayari sa kanya is mag-swell or overhydrated siya. Next, kay xerocytosis. Sabi, sobra daw yung pagpasok ni potassium sa loob ng cell. Alam mo yung principle na sinusunod natin sa ating sodium-potassium pump? Potassium in, sodium out. Okay? So, kung sobra yung nag-i-in na potassium, sobra din yung mag-out na sodium. Pag sobra yung nag-out na sodium, again, where salt goes or sodium goes, water follows. Because too much water came out of your RBCs, they became dehydrated. Okay? Kaya, dito, sa hereditary xerocytosis, mas common makakita ng stomatocytes. Okay? Next, extracorpuscular naman tayo or extracellular. Okay, non-immune causes natin, meron tayo, una sa lahat, microangiopathic hemolytic anemia or MAHA. Gaya na binanggit ko kanina, pag nakita mo yung MAHA, hindi yan macroangiopathic. Microangiopathic hemolytic anemia yan. Wala tayong ginagamit na acronym for our macroangiopathic hemolytic anemia. Okay? So, from the word itself, micro and angio. Okay? It is in the small blood vessels. Okay? Caused by damage in the microvessels, leading to mechanical fragmentation of RBCs. Okay? So, merong probably in the microvessels natin, capillaries. Or pwedeng sa arterioles or sa venules natin. Ano yung mga associated conditions natin dito? TTP or thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, HUS or hemolytic uremic syndrome, HELP or hemolysis, elevated liver enzymes, and low platelet count. This is common in pregnant patients. Ayan, yung HELP na yan. And then, disseminated intravascular coagulopathy. Sige, naalala ko lang din sa blood bank, anong blood product daw ang ginagamit as a medicine or as a treatment for people with thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura. So, ito, we use, baka may nakakalam sa inyo, CPP. Ano yung sabihin na CPP? Ito yung itong blood product na to. Ano yung CPP? Sabihin yan. Cryo poor plasma. Okay? Cryo poor plasma. Okay? Yung ginagamit daw na treatment or gamot sa mga taong may TTP or thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura. Okay? Additional info lang. Okay? Next. Macroangiopathic hemolytic anemia caused by damage in larger vessels. Okay? Most of the time due to mechanical stress. Okay? Common causes natin, traumatic cardiac hemolytic anemia, pinakamadalas because of a prosthetic heart valve. Okay? So, kapag dumadaan sila doon sa artificial heart valve na yun, doon sila nakakaranas ng hemolysis or doon nangyayari yung hemolysis. If that's the cause, we can call it macroangiopathic hemolytic anemia. Okay? Also, pwede ring exercise-induced hemoglobinuria. Okay, next. Extracorpuscular pa din, extracellular, pwedeng non-immune causes, hemolysis by infectious agents. Ito common na to, alam na natin yung malaria, positive agent Plasmodium malariae, falciparum, may iba pa, okay? And babesiosis. Babesiosis, causative agent is Babesia microti. Appearance ng kanyang RBC, ito yung tatandaan. Multi-cross formation. Okay? Clostridial sepsis, okay, from the bacteria Clostridium species. And then next is Bartonellosis, or other name is Carrion disease. Positive agents is Bartonella bacilliformis. Parang siya importante sa hima kasi kapag na-infect ka daw nito, itong mga Bartonella bacilliformis natin, they can produce protein that is known as deformin. Okay? Ano ginagawa ng deformin? It forms pits or invaginations in the RBC membrane. So, hinuhukay niya yung cell membrane ng ating RBC. Ayan yung ginagawa ni deformin from Bartonella bacilliformis. Okay, next, immune causes natin. Meron tayong autoimmune hemolytic anemia, alloimmune hemolytic anemia, and drug-induced hemolytic anemia. Sa ating mga autoimmune, ito yung mga associated natin. Warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia, cold agglutinin disease, and our paroxysmal cold hemoglobinuria. Alloimmune hemolytic anemia natin, hemolytic transfusion reaction, which is the most common. Okay, and our HDFN or hemolytic disease of the fetal newborn. Kapag sabi mo kasing alloimmune, galing yan sa dugo ng iba. Okay? Yung hemolytic anemia, it's because of the being sensitized to the blood of other people. Okay? Kapag autoimmune, yung sarili mong dugo ginagawa ng antibody ng sarili mong katawan. Kaya siya auto. Yung autoimmune. Okay? Polycythemia naman natin, can divide it into two, absolute and relative. Pag sinabi mong absolute, okay, it is related with elevated erythropoietin. Okay? So dahil mismo sa pagtaas ng erythropoietin yung pag-angat ng ating red cell mass. Okay? Now, when we talk about relative polycythemia, hindi naman totoong mataas yung red cell mass mo. Okay? Normal total red cell mass lang siya, oh. Normal lang din yung erythropoietin. Nagmumukha lang siyang mataas na RBC kasi sobrang baba ng plasma. Okay? So, paano ba natin mini-measure yung ating hematocrit? Paano natin siya mini-measure, guys? For example, this is the microhematocrit tube. Then, this is the portion of your RBC hanggang dyan. And then, yung plasma mo is hanggang dito. Yung hematocrit, guys, it measures the amount of your red cell divided by the total. Okay? So, approximately, tig-kalahati sila. This will be 50%. Diba? Magiging 50 yung hematocrit niya. Kasi, hindi natin ito yung 100. Ayan. Kalahati lang naman in comparison to the total. Parang 50 over 100. Ganun. Paano kung yung RBCs mo or Paxil volume mo, hindi naman naiba ng volume. Parehas pa rin. Ganyan pa rin siya karami. Pero yung plasma ni pasyente, ganito lang kaunti. Ganyan lang. Sabihin natin 25% lang. Paano natin mini-measure hematocrit? Dito, over the total. So, magmumukhang mataas yung RBC volume mo based on computation. Hindi naman dahil sa mataas talaga yung total red cell mass kasi yan itong dalawang to, si for tube 1 at tube 2. Magkasing level lang naman sila ng RBC, 'di ba? Ng pack red cell. Pero yung total volume nila mas mababa si 2. So approximately if you compute this tube number 2, this will be around 60, sige sabihin natin 60% or 70%, 'di ba? Taas ng hematocrit niya. Pero hindi naman talaga mataas yung kanyang red cell mass. Okay? Yun yung sabihin ng relative polycythemia. Okay? Gets ba? Gets ba, guys? Pwede bang react ng kahit thumbs up kung na-gets naman. Thank you. Ayan. Okay. So before we proceed with our RBC tests, we can proceed with our 15-minute break muna. Sige. Balik tayo dito na 4:16. Sige, 4:16 to 4:20. Then let's proceed with our RBC tests. Thank you, everyone.